Good evening, boys and girls and Midway families, and welcome back to this week's edition of Tuesday Tales. I missed you guys while we were away for Thanksgiving break. This evening, I have a privilege of reading about one of my favorite characters, and that character is named Anansi. Anansi is a character in African folklore. In certain parts of Africa, they tell stories about Anansi and how he tricks different people by pulling pranks and different things about him. So today we have the opportunity to hear a story about Anansi the spider, okay? And the title of this book is Anansi and the Moss-Covered Rock, and it's retold by Eric A. Kimmel, and it's illustrated by Janet Stevens. Join me as we read. Once upon a time, Anansi the spider was walking through the forest when something caught his eye. It was a strange moss-covered rock. Notice, boys and girls, how they used all those adjectives to describe a noun or a pronoun? Strange moss-covered rock. How interesting, Anansi said. Isn't this a strange moss-covered rock? Kaboom! Everything went black. Down fell Anansi, senseless. An hour later, Anansi woke up. His head was spinning. He wondered what happened. I was walking along the path when something caught my eye. I stopped and said, "Isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?" Kaboom! Down fell Anansi again. But this time, when he woke up an hour later, he knew what was happening. "Aha," said Anansi, "this is a magic rock. And whenever anyone comes along and says the magic words, isn't this a strange... He didn't say the words this time. Down he goes. This is a good thing to know," said Anansi, "and I know just how to use it." Let's see how Anansi uses his power of the strange moss-covered rock. So Anansi went walking through the forest until he came to Lion's house. Lion was sitting on his porch. At his feet was a great pile of yams. Anansi loved yams, but he was too lazy to dig them up himself. Anansi said to the lion, "Hello, Lion. Isn't it very hot today? Don't you think so?" "Yes," Anansi said, Lion. "It's terribly hot. I'm going for a walk in the cool forest," said Anansi. "Would you like to come?" "I certainly would," said Lion. What do you guys think that Anansi's going to do to Lion? Let's see. So Lion and Anansi went walking through the forest. After a while, Anansi led Lion to a certain place. "Lion, do you see what I see?" "Oh, yes," Anansi said the lion. "Isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?" Kaboom! Down fell Lion. Anansi ran back to Lion's house and made off with Lion's yams. Boy, look at Anansi. An hour later, Lion woke up. His head was spinning. Anansi was nowhere in sight. And when he got home, he found that every single one of his yams was gone. Lion was very sad. But Anansi was very happy. He couldn't wait to play his trick again. Once more, Anansi went walking through the forest. This time, he stopped at Elephant's house. Elephant was sitting on the porch. At Elephant's feet was a great pile of bananas. Anansi loved bananas, but he was too lazy to pick them himself. So he said to Elephant, "Hello, Elephant. Isn't it a hot day?" "Is it?" Elephant agreed. "I'm going to walk in the cool forest," Anansi said. "Would you like to come?" "Sounds nice," said Elephant. "Thank you for inviting me, Anansi." So what do you guys think that Anansi's going to do to the elephant? Let's see. So Anansi and Elephant went walking through the forest. So after a while, Anansi led Elephant to a certain place. "Elephant, look, do you see what I see?" Elephant looked. "Yes, I do, Anansi. Isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?" Kaboom! Down fell Elephant. Anansi ran back to Elephant's house and made off with his bananas. An hour later, Elephant woke up. His head was spinning. Anansi was nowhere in sight, and when he got home, he found that every single one of his bananas was gone. elephant was very sad. But Anansi was very happy. He couldn't wait to play his trick again. He played it on rhinoceros and hippopotamus, played it on giraffe and zebra. He played it on every single animal in the forest. But all this time, watching from behind the leaves, was Little Bush Deer. Little Bush Deer was small and shy and very hard to see, so he watched Anansi play his wicked trick again and again on the other animals. Little Bush Deer decided it was time for Anansi to learn his lesson. So Little Bush Deer went down to the forest to where the coconut trees grew. He climbed the coconut tree and threw down a great many coconuts. He carried the coconuts home in a basket and set them on his porch. Then he sat down beside them to wait. So Little Bush Deer, he's going to get him. In a little while, along came Anansi. Anansi's eyes lit up when he saw Little Bush Deer's coconuts. Anansi loved coconuts. He loved to eat the tender white coconut meat and drink the sweet coconut milk inside. But he was much too lazy to gather coconuts himself. Instead, he said, "Hello, Little Bush Deer. Isn't it hot today?" Little Bush Deer smiled. "It's very hot, Anansi. I'm going for a walk in the cool forest. Would you like to come?" "Yes, I would," said Little Bush Deer. So Anansi and Little Bush Deer went walking in the cool forest. After a while, Anansi led Little Bush Deer to a certain place. "Little Bush Deer, look over there. Do you see what I see?" Little Bush Deer knew all about Anansi's trick. He looked. "No, Anansi, I don't see anything." "You must see it. Look very carefully." Little Bush Deer looked. "No, I still don't see anything," he said. Anansi began to get angry. "You must see it. Look here. Look right where I'm pointing. Do you see it now?" "No, Anansi," said Little Bush Deer. Anansi stamped his legs. "You see it. You just don't want to say it." "Say what?" said Little Bush Deer. "You know. Is what I'm supposed to say?" "Yes," said Anansi. "All right, then I will say it to make you happy." "You know," said Little Bush Deer. "There, I say it. Are you satisfied?" "No," shouted Anansi. "You're not supposed to say, you know. What am I supposed to say?" "You're supposed to say, isn't this a strange moss-covered rock?" Kaboom! Down fell Anansi. Little Bush Deer ran and got all of the other animals. Together they went to Anansi's house and took back all of the good things he had stolen from them. An hour later, Anansi woke up. His head was spinning. Little Bush Deer was nowhere in sight. And when he got home, he found his house was empty as it was before. But if you think Anansi learned his lesson, you're mistaken, because he's still playing tricks to this very day. So thank you, boys and girls, for joining in this evening for our Tuesday Tale, Anansi and the Moss-Covered Rock. All right, boys and girls, I have a few questions for you, okay? So my first question, and remember, you must put this in the comment section. What was the magic word that made everyone fall over? And remember, we're looking for a complete sentence in our comment section, either on Dojo, Facebook, or YouTube. Our second question, boys and girls, what did Anansi steal from the lions? What did Anansi steal from the lions? Our third question, boys and girls, what did Anansi steal from the elephant? What did Anansi steal from the elephant? And our last and final question tonight, boys and girls, is who was the one responsible for playing the trick on Anansi to make him learn his lesson? All right, boys and girls, what I'm looking for is the first 4 people to answer my question. Be sure that you put it in the comment section. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Have a great evening, boys and girls.